Let's tighten up. It's your one. I said it's your one. It's your boy, the One Piece Shark, back here again. I know it's been about 3 or 4 weeks. I think my last episode was the week of the week of the Super Bowl. So yeah, took a little minute hiatus, as y'all know, and I have the Grizzlies podcast. Started 5 for SB Nation Grizzly Bear Blues, and All Star Weekend happened the week after that. It's the end of come down the end of the regular season, so had to focus a little more on the Memphis Grizzlies, especially with them being the number 2 seed. And of course, being an NBA fan myself, just watching throughout the league and everything. So that's why I had to take a little break. Wasn't really no news. I got tired of talking about Ryan Tannehill. So that was something to really talk about for the last month until recently. So I did kind of schedule my time wisely on dropping a new episode. But as always, got a new guest this week. Many of y'all do know her. She was Titans fan of the year this year, Stephani. So definitely glad to have her on. Us at LBR, we are celebrating National Women's Month. So it is a day late, but happy National Women's Day from belated National Women's Day, but it is Women's Month, and we at LBR are celebrating throughout the podcast network. So let's be real podcast. We had good friend Esco on last week. We have someone new this week, and so forth. Every Saturday morning, check us out. Let's be real, LBR Sports 901 on Twitter. And as always, remember to follow LBR Media at LBR_media, and follow me at LBR Tighten Up and the _P Shark for everything else I got going on. So without further ado, let's get it started after this message from our sponsor. Let's Be Real Media is pleased to announce we are sponsored by LOTT Brand. LOTT culture is surrounded by skates, punk, and hip-hop art. We are looking forward to co-designing materials for this journey with them. Please visit LOTTbrand.com for purchasing merch now and for future collaborations with Let's Be Real Media. All right, back here again, man. Let's tighten up with the guest, Stephani. How you doing?
Oh, hello. I'm doing great. How are you? Thank you so much for having me on.
No problem. Definitely, it's been a long time coming, but glad to finally get you on. Like I said, I've interacted with you on Twitter some. I've been one of the more respectful fans. Fans would disagree on things and go at each other. I think we disagreed on Todd Downey, but I told you I understood. What your points you made really
Yeah.
good points. So I don't know why everybody can't do that, but
It's definitely, I don't know. I just feel like we all have disagreements. We're not all going to agree on the same thing. That's just life in general. But I feel like there's just a certain decorum that you could have with someone that doesn't agree with you. And then if you feel like you're not getting your point across or something like that, you could just stop talking. Like it's social media. You can clip out of the app anytime you want,
Exactly.
It's okay to disagree. It's okay to agree to disagree on some things.
Exactly. But humans, I don't know what's wrong with a lot of people, but it's just what it is. But as I do my first time guests, I do a little Q&A trying to get feel of how you became a Titans fan. So my first question is always, where are you from and where do you live now?
Yep. I'm actually born and raised maybe about 15 minutes from where I'm currently located. I grew up in Winchester, Tennessee, very small town, very country area. And then now I currently live in Tullahoma. I been here since about 2011. Now raising my 6-year-old son Nate.
Yes, indeed. And they be having us tripping on the all the
I'm
videos.
telling you, Nate's a little celebrity. He just, he just
Right. And next question is, and we go to the Titans. How and when did you become a Titans fan?
Well, fun fact, I started watching football maybe when I was 10. I grew up in football. My brother did Little League, and I was a Little League cheerleader. So football's just kind of been in our, DNA for a very long time. But I actually started watching it with my dad when I was maybe about 10, 11. I started watching it rooting for the Steelers. Um, I loved
Mm,
Jerome. I fell in love with Jerome Bettis. That's who made me fall in love with the sport.
okay.
What he did for halfbacks and fullbacks, and that position was just so cool to me. I'd never seen anybody with that type of build just run over people like that. And then once he got his Super Bowl and he retired, I've always watched the Titans, but I wasn't really fully invested until maybe around, like, it was like Albert Hainsworth, maybe second to last year, right before they drafted Jarrell Casey. So you can
Okay.
definitely tell I have a thing for defensive players. I love the defense in the trenches. I'm from the old school part where
Hmm.
I'm fine if the score is 3-6, if that means they beat each other up. So definitely follow the Titans since Albert Hainsworth, Jarrell Casey, Kyle Vandenbosch, that old school, like no
Hmm.
one wanted to face that defense
Yep.
at all. It was so much fun to watch. So and been a fan ever since. It's been through the 2 and 14 days, the three
Hmm.
and 13 days, the quarterback carousel, Mike Millar, the head coaching
Woo.
carousel. Oh Lord, it's been a long time coming. It's crazy to say that um where we are now compared to
Hmm.
then is night and day. Like there's such continuity with this team, and there's a culture and environment that's been built that's going to last for a lifetime because of when Amy Adams took over, and then she hired John Robinson and they brought in Mike Vrabel. It just seems like this culture is deep rooted now, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Yep, for sure, for sure. And you know what? I commend you because you came a fan probably when we probably around time we had our best season, well, some of our
Hmm.
best season.
Hmm.
And you stuck along when we
Oh, for
hit
sure.
hit rock bottom after it because we made the
Rock
playoffs.
bottom, like just poor Mark. I ended up becoming a Marcus Stans,
Hmm.
because the guy on and off the field was just a great dude.
Yeah.
And poor guy went to like 5 head coaches and 4 different OCs, and like you said, no
Yeah.
continuity. But now we're to a place where there's not much change on the offense and defense. Even if there is, it's not enough to significantly
Hmm.
um, turn us back into those 12 and 2 and 14 days and 3 and 13 days. Like it boggles my mind how at one point we thought our best quarterback was Jake Locker and Charlie
The
and
second
Clipboard
better burger.
Jesus.
The second
Clipboard
better
Jesus.
burger.
Mettenberger lasted all of
Ooh,
like
we.
half a year, I feel like. And then we were rooting for Kerry Collins at one point. Like Kerry Collins was our savior. Um, and it's insane. It's nuts.
Fun fact, when I said it on the show back in 2008, I didn't believe we had the best record that year, won the playoffs as
Mm-hmm.
number one seed. It was
Mm-hmm.
because of Kerry Collins. Is the reason
Yep.
why I didn't believe we was winning the Super Bowl. I just knew like we not winning. Ain't no way Kerry Collins about to win a Super Bowl.
It was
I
literally
refuse to believe
the
that.
saving grace of our franchise at that point. It was Kerry Collins. And I'm
Right.
just like, oh gosh, just PTSD is real when it comes to the Titans. And
Hmm.
but at the end of the day, I love this team. I love what they're about from the top to the bottom. I feel like that love grows even stronger every year, even after heartbreaks. Because I try to take the positive parts of the game. Yes, I was sad when we lost in the playoffs, but I really took the positives out. I'm really excited to see this defense um,
Yes.
come to play next year, and just have a fun time, being with each other for a second straight season, that front four. Just really being able to have more time to gel. So it's going to be a lot more fun this year, I feel like.
Yep, definitely. I agree. I think even and we're gonna get to it in a second with the
Hmm.
quarterback situation and everything. But I think fans just overreacting some. I mean, but it's fans. I think someone
Yeah,
told me it's short for fanatic. So I like, you know what?
fanatics. Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. For sure.
So it makes sense. So
I saw some people go through it. Like I felt like therapy was needed
yes.
after how the season ended. Like, whoo, therapy.
Hey, speaking of therapy, we do got a comment, man. Titans Therapy Podcast. Let's
Hey.
go. Yes, definitely check those guys out. I love their podcast. It's like a therapy session for real. Their show is like it's very smooth transition there, like a therapy. Like it's very like
I
they
appreciate it.
they really
Sometimes you
good.
need it. Sometimes you
Yeah,
just need a place to go.
exactly. But on to the next question. So you are the creator of LOTT. If nobody knows what LOTT is, it's Ladies of Titans Twitter. So what guess how did you create LOTT?
It was actually back in 2020. It's crazy to believe that we're going on 2.5 year or a year and a half now. But one day, I'd remembered the year prior that there was a ladies group. It was Titans True, and that was a ladies group sponsored by the Titans, but they didn't bring the group back. And I was just like,
Mhm.
height of COVID. I didn't have anybody to talk to really. I felt like sometimes, and I'm not going to say in our fan base, but just in general, when you're a woman and you know sports in particular, it's kind of hard to thrive on social media.
Yeah.
Like back, it's come a long way in the time that I've created LOTT, but back then it was just like you got questioned about every single thing,
Mhm.
like down to like how many yards did the QB get, or what was the grade of grass on a Tuesday in 1999, that type of stuff. And I've created the chat because I wanted other women to talk to. I knew like an inkling of a couple of women that love the Titans on Twitter, but I didn't know the extent. And so I
Mhm.
created the group back in, I want to say August of 2020, and then
Mhm.
I ended up in October creating the Twitter page, which is at Ladies of Titans, at Ladies of TT, or at Ladies of Titans
Mhm.
football, because Twitter doesn't allow you to use Twitter
Mhm.
in their handle.
Yep.
So, fun fact. But I created the group chat, and we started off, I think, maybe with 15 women in the group chat, and then now it's blossomed to the cap of 75. So I didn't know you could have 75 people in the group chat, but
Wow.
come full circle, just I created that chat for women to have a place to feel like they have a safe space to talk about football, but just about life in general. Like there's so much going on in the world, and especially when it was just the COVID was just hitting,
Mhm.
everything was shutting down. Football had no fans, there was no
Yeah.
place to go. So when I created it, I had no idea it was going to turn into what it is today. I had not a clue.
That's awesome. And most time when you do start stuff, it does turn into something bigger that you
Mhm.
didn't expect, especially like something like just a regular, ladies Titans group and blows up like whole,
It
bunch of
does.
Titans
It
fans.
does. And that, Titans fans embraced us, and then it seemed just like slowly things were catching on. And then when we created the hashtag I stand with um the Titans, it got so popular that that week the Titans of that year, they picked up the slogan. And one of the girls in the group chat said, "Hey, there's Lance," which Lance Smith is awesome. Lance posted a video for the Titans, and he said hashtag I stand with the Titans. I was like, oh my gosh, they picked that up. Like it was mind blowing. I couldn't believe like our group like had that much um woman power behind it to kind of
Mhm.
drive force and just let the boys know that we were there. And then when your team comes back and like, we see you, we see what you're doing, we see the
Yep.
positivity you're enforcing with your group. It was crazy. That really what skyrocketed things, or catapulted things into kind of where it is today.
For sure, for sure. And shout out to the team, like for like I said, breaking
Mhm.
y'all up. I know they do events with y'all and
Mhm.
everything. Then shout out to one of y'all members, Haley. Remember everything's going on with Eddie
Hey,
O'Reilly out in
love you,
Ukraine.
Haley.
Like it's just amazing how she just picked up on it and like got
Mhm.
involved to help them out. And like that just lets you know we're all the family, like the
We
whole
are.
Titans.
As much as we bicker and argue and
Yep.
fight, this within each other, I know if something happens or something happens to
Hmm.
somebody, we rally together like in droves.
Yep. Yep, and it's like that around most fan bases. Like, reason I created the separate Twitter account for the podcast versus my
Mhm.
personal account because I'm a Grizzlies fan. I got Grizzlies followers, Titans, Tennessee Vols, Memphis
Mhm.
Tigers. So like each fan base, each game, like it's the same way as Titans. I was like, what? As bad as I look at Titans fans are, I mean, the Grizzlies game going on when we lost to Houston Sunday, like everybody
Sunday,
like
yeah.
it was the end of the world. I was like, bro,
Oh, I bet.
we
I
still number
bet.
two, like. Like we still, like
I think
okay,
it was just because it was to Houston, though.
it
So yeah,
was.
I think that's why.
Like just like the Titans, bad. You're gonna lose a bad game, for
You are
whatever
going to
reason.
we dropped to Houston too, just
Yep.
in a different sport.
So it's like, yeah, it's very hilarious. So it's I learned like almost every fan base is the same.
Exactly. I feel like it goes across the board.
Right. Then next question is, well, like I said, that transition you to becoming the current fan of the year. So how does it feel to be the Titans fan of the year?
I'm still blown away. Like it set in. It's like I said, going to the Super Bowl and things like that. It really did change my life. But um, it made me so humble because I love this team. There's nothing I wouldn't do for this team. There's nothing I wouldn't do for the ladies that I've come to grow to learn about and love. Shouts out to all the ladies who are either in the group chat or a part of Ladies of Types Twitter. Period. All of you ladies rock, and I wouldn't be where I am without you. And people are like, you can take credit. It's okay. I can take credit, yes. And but it was them who helped that group thrive for me. The relationships, people come and talk to me all the time about the lifelong friendships and how it affected their lives. And I just have to pinch myself sometimes because I'm like, I had no idea people saw me in that fashion. I am who I am. I'm 90% positive. There's always some like 10% where, a day is maybe too rough. But for the team to be like, hey, we see you. And for them to pick somebody that's not a season ticket member was also really cool because it just kind of showed that they look at you for who you are, not what you do for the
Mm-hmm.
team,
Yeah.
not what you financially put in, but just you as a person, you as a good person. And for them to be like, hey, we choose you as the fan of the year. Like I got completely surprised. Like Carrie, I am Zap Girl on Twitter.
Yeah.
Love you, Carrie. She completely blindsided me. She said that we had a meeting to talk about the Women's Day game, which was the Chiefs game in October of this past year. And we needed to talk with some executives. And I'm like, oh crap, this is actually moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited. And then I pop in and there's everybody in the room. And I'm like, am I late? Am I late to this meeting? And then Lance pops up and he
Yeah.
completely surprises me. Me ugly crying on camera was 1000% real. Like, and to be able to share that moment with my son,
Mm-hmm.
with Nate, was something that I will never ever forget. Like, and then you fast forward to the Dolphins game, where I got to stab the sword in the field, and Nate was just right there, hyping me up.
Yeah.
It was a moving moment because I got to share that experience with every Titans fan in the stadium, every Titans fan that I was watching on TV, and then most importantly, my son. And it was just surreal. Like I was trying to calm myself down because everything was moving. I shook Mike Vrabel's hand. I see
Mm-hmm.
him. Um, Dude could still go out and play a game today.
Yeah.
Let's just call it what it is. Like if it's your coach versus my coach, I'm sorry for you. Uh, but like just to be on the field and then like have people, like have like Kevin Byard coming up to me and say, "Hey, can I get a picture?"
Mm-hmm.
Or like just
Nice.
seeing all the players just right there, people you've watched. I was
Mm-hmm.
starstruck, but I'm like, try to keep it calm. But on the inside, there was an internal freak out. I was just like 10,000 miles a minute, but it was so much fun getting to do all the cool stuff of being fan of the year. Definitely suggest anybody who feels that they represent the Titans to apply for that. I remember when Brandon posted that a year ago, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I counted myself out before I even applied. And Carrie's like, you never know, just
Yeah.
apply. And then when I submitted, I found out from Luke from Gill during my interview with Luke that the one reason I was really being looked at, not only because of what I brought to Twitter, but because of the amount of people who nominated me. And I was so blown away because I was like, I just try to be a good person. I try to
Mm-hmm.
just be a good person to everybody. That's just how I am. I'm a nurturer, I'm a carer right off the
Yep.
bat. So, for people to be like, we see you, we see what you're
Mm-hmm.
doing, we love you. It's so cool. It's so
All
cool.
right. Definitely. And I can attest to it. Like I said, I just met you really like just even face to face through virtual, but just seeing what you do on Twitter, interacting with you on Twitter through Twitter spaces, like you could tell who are good people, and you're definitely a good person, just
Well,
everything
thank
you've
you. I
done. So
appreciate that.
hey, no doubt. Just like shout out to you. Like I said, you deserve everything. When you got to go to LA, did you get to meet any stars?
I Not up close. I won't say not up close because as soon as we got off the plane, we were
Mm-hmm.
going down to get our luggage. And as soon as we got our luggage, there was Mike Vrabel getting his luggage off the carousel. And so we
I
got to
remember that.
snap a picture right there with Mike Vrabel as he was coming in. He was like, run the dang ball, hat and all.
Yep.
It was hilarious because like I don't know if he was on our plane or not, but it was so serendipity that he was right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then LA is a lot faster than what
Yeah.
I'm used to. It's definitely LA is a great experience. I was so happy to get to go for a couple of days, but I missed the slow pace of my town because LA is 24 hours. When I
It
say they
is.
do not stop, they do not stop.
I can attest to that.
And, and then I got to see a lot of them up close at the honors awards. Like I was right there
Mhm.
where Kyle Brandt was doing some things.
Yeah.
A couple other people were, and then during the honors when
Yep.
when Mike
I remember
Vrabel when
that.
Mike Vrabel was talking about Amy, I shouted out, "Let's go, Amy Woo!" And he answered back on
Yep.
national television, and I was cracking up because I didn't realize that I was that loud until
Mhm.
my phone started pinging, and I'm like, "What's going on?" And people were like, I know that Stephanie." They were tagging me on Twitter. I know that was Stephanie that yelled that. I was like, "Was that you?" And I was like, "Yeah, that was me." I was not expecting him to answer back, but it was hilarious. So definitely the highlight. The Super Bowl was great. The halftime show was
Mhm. I
spectacular.
already know.
But Coach Vrabel answering me back on national television where I could hear it for the rest of my life. My Super Bowl right there in the nugget.
Nice. I wish I caught that. And you know what? That was my last episode. Let's tighten up. It was doing the NFL honors because I thought it was gonna be Saturday and it ended up being
Mhm.
Thursday. I was like,
Mhm.
we started the show. I was like, dang, I guess I need to watch to see my favorite win Coach of the Year. So I was like,
Yeah.
trying to announce.
As soon as he won, he got up and he started talking and he was just, commenting about it. And I said, let's go, Amy. But I was like, the YouTube theater is all enclosed and your voice apparently carries so far where they're like the broadcasters picked up on it. And I was just like, I was really that loud. And then the Titans clipped that part where he was accepting his speech. And I was just,
Mhm.
man, I was out there. I was just gone. And they're like, he answered you. And I'm like, yeah. And but yeah, the Super Bowl, the SoFi Stadium is
Yeah.
immaculate. Like I can completely understand why they had the Super Bowl there its first
Mhm.
year because that stadium is otherworldly. It's very beautiful. Like the pictures I took, I thought they were stock photos because that's just how
It
pretty the
is.
stadium is naturally. And then we got to go down on the field, which was crazy to say that my feet were on the field of a Super Bowl. Like
Mhm.
madness, It was a
Nice.
lot of fun. Huge stadium and very pretty. It was a fun game, better halftime show. It was so much fun to
Mhm.
watch those guys live. Um in LA. It was just a blast.
Yep. I already know. I actually got a chance to go to LA. The Titan when we played the Rams, early November.
Over November. Mhm.
Yep. I when they schedule first came out last year, because I had never been to LA. In the last 2 years, I've been trying to go for my birthday. The
Mhm.
first year, so my birthday is the end of this month in March, and COVID happened in 2020.
Over there right there.
Right. So I know I had to cancel the trip. Then the next year I tried to go and no, it was year before that I tried to go and I just didn't have money. I just had the funds. I had already had my tickets to actually the flight tickets, but I didn't have no money to actually
Mhm.
go to LA and do
Go to
something.
the game.
Right. So I circled last year. I'm like, no, I'm going. I don't care. I'm going. So I circled it. I ended up going by myself. My friend
Mhm.
I supposed to went with, some stuff happened. Death in the family happened with him. So I had to end up going on my
Mhm.
own. So I was like, dang. Yep, I'm guessing I got to go to LA. I need to get there because my wife had her nursing exam at the time, so she couldn't go. I was like, no, I got to get there. So I went.
It's an experience, ain't it?
It
It's
is
it's a complete experience out there.
definitely.
And I feel like LA is more for away people anyways. Like people are like for a minute they were talking about, why is it LA? I'm like, you realize people this is a destination spot. So
Yep.
this is a perfect trip to go to any as a Wave fan. That's the
Yep.
place you should go. That if you
Hmm.
choose anywhere to go, any fan, no matter what team you play for, as long as you play the Rams, go to SoFi. You'll never regret it. It's so huge, massive. Just a beautifully built
Hmm.
stadium.
It is. And actually, I know we play the Chargers this year in LA. I plan to go back.
Then go right back out
Already,
there.
yeah. Because I had stayed long enough. My flight got pushed back. I supposed to flew in there Friday night, and I ended up not
Mhm.
getting there. It got pushed back to Saturday, so I didn't fly out
Well, so
until
you got
Saturday.
right there, and then boom, had to go to the
Yeah,
game,
it
and boom,
left.
come back
Yep,
home.
left Monday. So I have a friend to stay out there. Hung out with him Saturday. Went to the game Sunday, and it's 2 hours back. So Sunday night football ain't 7. It's at 5.
And
Like,
then it was getting used to the time change. And then also it was just like, because I was waking up at 4 o'clock
yeah.
in the morning because I'm used to waking up at 6 to get Nate up ready for school. So I was up at 4
Hmm.
a.m. Almost every day. And then at the end of the trip, which was after the Super Bowl for me, I was, going upstairs, and then someone had called me and say, "Hey, can you come down? Somebody needs to talk to you." So I come down, and not apparently, but I ended up running into someone who found out that I was there. I ended up running into Kevin Byard's wife's
Hmm.
cousin. And,
Nice.
and he's like, "You met Kevin Byard?" I was like, "Yeah, I met him." And I showed him the picture that we took at what you call. He's like, we exchanged shows. So he's like, "I'm going to talk to Kevin about this at the family reunion." I'm like, "Not you just up and going to Kevin and be like, 'Hey, I saw stuff.'" I was just, it's so crazy.
That's
You
what's up.
never know who you're going to meet in LA. You
Ye-
never know. Like the stars at the honors alone. I got a picture with Keegan Michael Key. Like,
Nice.
I'm just I saw Mike Evans, Jason Kelsey, there were so many people there. It at
Hmm.
because they had a pre-honors dinner, or kind of like a cocktail party at
Yeah.
the right before you go into the YouTube theater, and some of the players were actually coming out to talk to some of the fans throughout the night, and so like just to kind of be like, "Hey, I met Mike Evans, took a picture with him," just stuff that as a football fan you're dying over in the inside. So it was definitely an incredible experience.
For sure, for sure. I know. Yeah. Like I said, that's the city of stars.
It is.
I don't regret it.
I
LA.
met Victor Cruz the next day. Got to hang out with him. They had a party on a
Roof.
hotel open rooftop or something like
Oh
that.
wow.
It was, yeah. They Captain Morgan, since they sponsored the Fan of the Year program this year,
Okay.
they were throwing down. Like Victor Cruz came out, he hung out. We met a famous jeweler by the name of Ben Baller. He actually crafted, because Henry from the Falcons won the overall Fan of the Year this year,
Yeah.
and he crafted a solid gold chain for Henry. Yeah, like I'm talking like we're talking like I think over
Wow.
$100,000 chain that was around that
Wow.
man's neck. And but the fan of the years all got Letterman's jackets with our names
Nice.
and stuff on the initials, but it was just the stars there. You really are. You don't know who you're going to see walking down the road. You don't
Hmm.
know.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. Let's get to a couple comments. My guy ENTZ, who I actually got a pleasure of meeting when I went to LA. He's actually he lives in the Bay Area. We're rivals right now. He's from Tennessee. He moved out there. He's a Warriors fan. I'm a Grizzlies fan. You know, they're
Oh
battling for the two
man,
seed. So yeah, we're
yeah,
rivals right now. But it's my guy.
I see you.
Man, Ryan, what do Shark Case self? My guy
Hey
Ryan.
Ryan.
Check out his podcast as well. The Jump Pass. Al Pierce tighten up, go Titans, Kickmaster tail. Yes, sir. Oh, let's get it.
Yeah.
Ian LA is cool. Yeah, yeah, indeed, man. But final question, and yeah, I guess it's be transitioning to the Titans topics. What were your thoughts overall about this past season?
Um. Well, I guess I can kind of segue this. This season had a lot of ups and downs. But for me personally, it was the best year of my life. I can't think of anything that would ever be able to top what I've got to experience this year. Between the friends I've made, the people I've met, um, getting to interact with the team as much as I did. I just I'm still in like a pinch me moment phase, because I just
Yeah,
sometimes I sit and I think about all the opportunities I was granted this year, getting to meet Amy Adams. She's a sweetheart, by the way. And just her saying she was proud of me, she saw what I did. She's so proud of the fact that I won Fan of the Year, and just to kind of have all of those memories for me for life. The Super Bowl is something I didn't think I would ever get to check off my uh, bucket list,
yeah,
but I got to check that off my bucket list. Um, so it's definitely a year of thanks, a year of gratitude, and also just a year of motivation. I'm like, we're just scratching the surface with the group, and I feel like we can just kind of catapult things into another level, trying to do maybe outreach programs or or fundraiser, things like that. And I also talked to other ladies from that are fans of the years. There were actually 17 female fan of the years out of
Wow.
the 32. And so got to talk to them, and hopefully there's going to be some other um, pops of ladies fans of the year. I believe someone from the Dolphins, the fan of the year, his girlfriend or his wife, I believe is starting her sector. And I couldn't be more proud. I couldn't
Nice.
be more proud.
Look over here, inspiring people.
It
I like it. It's good. It's good. So, I guess before we move on to the Titans topics, tell everyone. I asked you this at the end of show again to repeat it, but let everyone know where they can follow you at.
You can follow me at Stephani P96. That's STEPHANI 96. Also, you can find me on at Ladies of TT, or you can search up at Ladies of Titans Football. And we also have a Facebook page. Just search up Ladies of Titans Football, and you'll be able to find us there too.
Sure. Be sure to give these ladies a follow. They are, like I said, awesome group. You won't be disappointed. And let's go and get ready for Titan news. So, first up, yesterday, overreaction. I had to get out of my element for a second. So, you know, it first came out that Harold Landry was not tagged.
Mm-hmm.
And my first thought was Tom Pelissero, and this is the reason I screenshot his tweet instead of Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter just said they were not giving him a tag. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Rosini said the same thing. So I was like, I don't know what it's about ESPN and NFL Network, but I like NFL Network people better.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Pelissero came on and said, "Hey, they didn't sign it, they didn't tag him, but they still have until Monday to agree to an extension." And I think Teron Davenport came out and said, "No, they want to make it work, right?"
Yeah.
So my thinking is, all right, I can't get mad to Monday, right? Let me wait till
Like
Monday.
you have a week. You have
Yeah,
like 6 days where you could just kind of fester about
come on, y'all.
this
It's like
down.
so. 2 years ago, Derrick Henry got tagged, and everybody got
Mhm.
mad. And I was like, all right, if they don't sign him on July the 15th, which I think that was the deadline for them to sign the extension, then I'd be mad. July
Mhm.
15th came, they signed to an extension. There we go. Harold
That was
Landry,
it.
you got to Monday.
Harold
I'm mad.
Landry's was pretty fast. Like
It was.
when I saw that they weren't using the tag, my very first thought was it was out of respect for Harold Landry because I
Mhm.
feel like they knew that they could work out a deal without throwing that tag out there. Because once you throw the tag out there, you can't take it back. It's not like something you can erase with a whiteout. It's not something like
Right.
once you stick a tag on him, you have to pay him for that year. And he could choose to sit out. Like he could still
Mhm.
choose not to play. And why take that risk when I feel like they've had such a strong build relationship? No,
Exactly.
and the crazy part, it's only like a $5 million cap hit. Like the deal that J. Rob structured with this man was flawless. Like people are like, my first thought was when the tag came out. I'm like, okay, they're gonna work a deal out. Like
Mhm.
there's no way they're gonna let
Me
him
too.
walk out. And there was a couple people panicking, and I was like, look,
Mhm.
they did the same thing with Derrick Henry. They ended up tagging him, and then he got tagged for just a little bit, and then they
Yep.
finally got his extension right afterwards.
Exactly.
Harold's was, like I said, this year's kind of uncharacteristic. Like I've made tweets where I said, get used if you're new to Titans Twitter. Titans wait to the very last second of every deadline
Every
that they've
time.
ever made. I was like, they wait until 2:59 to say something because that's just how
Mhm.
they do. That's always how they've been. But this
Yep.
year they're like, we're just gonna throw this out here right now. Like they've already extended, like they've got done with Landry. I'm like, I thought they were gonna
Yep.
wait until Monday to make the announcement. I really thought they were gonna wait till Monday because that's what we're used to. That's what we're conditioned to as fans is to wait till the
Mhm.
last minute. And I was like, I don't know if I can handle Titans Twitter for a full 6
I
days if
couldn't.
Harold Landry wasn't signed that day at that time.
I could. I sure was like, man, they about to overreact. I was in tweets like he said, follow the right people. He definitely said they got to Monday. TD came out and said, hey, they are actively trying to work on a
Yeah,
deal.
yeah,
Trust
Adam
them.
leaves out some stuff,
He
and
do.
I'm not a fan of it. And I'm like, You have Tom, and you have I'm surprised Diana Rossini hasn't.
Yeah,
I'm
she
like,
shocked me.
we've been
Yeah.
kind of, but I think she may be having other stuff to do because I'm used to her getting the
Hmm.
news out first. So like with Tom and stuff, he automatically said, "Hey, they're trying to work out a deal. They believe they could work something out." Teron said the same thing. And then
Hmm.
you even had PK come out with the numbers and the explaining things in a calm, rational manner. And I'm like, PK, I don't like agreeing with you. I don't like when you make sense because sometimes some of your stuff can be kind of skewed. But he was making sense. He was breaking down the deal. He was showing why, they did this instead of franchise tag. I'm like, they literally were going to owe him almost $19 million on a tag.
Hmm.
Whether
That's
they've
a
got
lot.
I think a lot of people when the deal first dropped, they're like, oh, he's overpaid, and everybody has their opinion. Let me preface it.
Yeah.
You have your opinion, you stick to your opinion, and I respect it.
Hmm.
My opinion is that the Titans have shown time and time again that they will pay their players who deserve to be
Hmm.
paid. They will
Exactly.
pay you. They don't just drop these type of deals like it's nothing. Like the last deal with like this was to me Derrick Henry's, and even then Derrick Henry still the one. He's like fifth or sixth underpaid, like least
Yeah.
paid running back in the league, and he puts up the numbers he does, and I'm like, meh.
Yep.
Harold Landry was one of the drop that was his best statistical career.
Hmm.
I'm like, why would you complain about a man getting paid when he was there to do a job and he exceeded his job? Like we
Hmm.
haven't had someone have a 12 sack season in
It's been a while.
years. Been a long time, decades. Like we have to go back, you
Yeah.
know. Um we finally have a defense that people are scared of, that they don't want to
Hmm.
play. I'm like, they're not going to let one guy walk out the building and he's going to get his dues. I'm like, let that man get paid. Like, pay him. If they're gonna pay him, pay him. And I feel like this just shows the other players coming in. You do the work, you commit, you love the team. Harold's a team player through and through. The entire organization loves him. Then you're gonna get your dues. Like I'm kind of excited to see what Jeffrey Simmons is gonna make in a couple of
Yep.
years because if this is Landry's, like Simmons, you better open that back storage
Blank check.
vault back there for Jeffrey. I don't care I'm gonna be honest. I don't care what he asked for. Give it to him. I don't
It-
give it to him.
exactly. You couldn't say I couldn't say the bill of myself, but of course, I'm from Memphis, man. Rest in peace, Young Dolph. He said "Get Paid." That was one of his best songs. The song I listen to
Mhm.
quite often. So like "Get Paid," Air
Get
Landry.
paid.
For those who are listening on audio, I do have audio podcasts. Who not seeing the screen on the video. The deal was 5 years, and you hadn't noticed, heard about the deal. The deal was 5 years, $87.5 million, and 52.5 guaranteed. And like with you, I had a problem with the deal. Harold Landry, I think people had a what's that man? I forget his name, Albert Hainsworth syndrome, and
Mhm.
he had his
I really think people are still
yeah.
living with that PTSD, and it's just something they're gonna have to slowly work through. I'm not gonna say
Hmm.
get over because there's some hangups I still have. Kickers are
Yeah.
my hangup, but but outside of that, I'm just like this man had the best statistical career of his life. Made the Pro Bowl. He,
Hmm.
we have a pass rush. Like, let's just say that again for those in the back that don't remember. We have a pass rush. Like, I really think he deserves his 5-year deal, and he's only 25.
25.
That
Hmm.
means you're going to get him in his prime. Like they're pretty to me, and this may be going out, but to me, they've pretty much said, if you prove to us this, and this, we want you here for life because you're going to get
Hmm.
Landry from 25 to 28. Those are his prime years. Those are
Yep.
some of the best years defensive players have. And then
Hmm.
if he's still good at 29, 28, or 28, you can just add on to that, or you can backlog and put that back. There's a way for
Hmm.
them to get out of it. I think after like 3 years, 3 or 4
Yep.
years. So it's literally in writing. They want Landry there for this run that they're trying to make. They feel like he's a pivotal piece, and once he is, like I said, one more time for those in the back, we have a
Hmm.
pass rush. We have a
Exactly.
man that's getting sacks and getting in the backfield. And even if he's not getting sacks, because to me, sacks are an overrated number.
Yep.
I feel like there's so much more. Like
Hmm.
the quarterback hurries,
Yep.
the tackles for loss,
Yep.
all those statistics. He imploded this year. So give
Hmm.
that man his money and let him be happy.
Exactly. He's a good run defender. He's improved every single season in his career. He played best ability is availability.
Availability. He hasn't
He
missed in 3 years. He hasn't
yeah,
missed a game in 3
he missed the
years.
game.
Like, how could you not pay him? Like, this man has been balling. He's been working
Hmm.
hard. He's been, he didn't let that one last year get to him. He just said, "I'm gonna put my head down and I'm gonna work harder and I'm gonna get to where I am." And he
Yep.
got to where he is. And I'm very proud of Harold. I'm very proud of the organization for not letting him get to the free agent market. Like, that was the biggest thing. Do not even let this man sniff a
Nope.
free agency because he's going to get paid somewhere else. If it wasn't us, like, and I'm like, people, like, when people started kind of going off that road, I'm like, do you realize that the Titans didn't pay for Jonnu? He got paid $50 million guaranteed and didn't put up any numbers this year um, at the Patriots in
Hmm.
New England. He had a dud year. He had, I think, his worst statistical
He did.
career of his life. Like, because to be honest, the Patriots don't use him like they should. But
Yeah,
that's a
like
whole nother
sure.
story for a whole nother day. But yeah, they paid Corey Davis. He went to the Jets. He got a huge contract and
Got
ended up
hurt.
got hurt. Sad that he got hurt, but he still wasn't putting. The only game he put up numbers
Against us.
against us,
Same thing
like
with
my
Jonnu.
face. I'm like, the only game they had a really good game was against us. Is it just vengeance or what?
It
Hey,
was
it's motivation. So
Jonnu
that's the
too.
only game. Johnny too. He had a great game against us.
What's
He had a great game.
the cornerback from the Texas, Desmond King?
Des- oh my gosh! Tell me why Desmond King was ruining our entire lives that day. Like, he was not going to quit. But then I
uh,
love the fact you really didn't hear a peep from him in the last game of the season. I think it was just they were over it by then. They were ready to go home, but they were ready to kind of wreck the Titans. They're like, we just want to be rude, so we're just going to do this. But yeah, I'm like, John pays the guys that he believes in. Like, just
mhm,
trust this man. I know he's had some flops, but his ability to show
actually,
us that he knows who he needs to sign, who needs to get that paper, releasing people before it's time or by it's time to kind of save. Like I said, people would have been really mad if we would have put John New on a tag and he did nothing this season. It would have been all hell break loose.
mhm,
Fire J Rob, fire the front office. If we kept Corey Davis, fire the front office. You're not going to always get the reaction you want to because it's Titans Twitter, but
yeah,
he knows what he's doing. So I'm just like, take a chill pill, let things happen, and just let's see where this goes. Let's just see
yeah,
where this goes.
exactly. I know a lot of people. Well, I guess Joy Embiid. A lot of people don't like him. A lot of people do. He's one of my
Mhm.
favorite players in the NBA. He started to trust the process thing. Ever since then, that's been me. Trust the process, and
Just the process,
that's
yeah.
what I take with the
I
Titans.
just don't
Trust the
know how
process.
much longer the 76ers are going to trust that process, though. We're just going to say that. Are you
Yeah.
going to be? Oh wait, I have to ask. Are you going to, as a Joe and B fan, are you going to be watching the 76ers game tomorrow?
Oh yeah, of course. That guy. Although somebody ain't playing,
Did
of
you
course.
hear about it? I'm telling you what, Ben Simmons is another story, man. Ben Simmons, that
Right.
whole drama with him is just nuts. But like I said, different story for different days. But
Right. And I
oh man,
actually, so I'm a Jimmy Butler's my favorite player. So I need the Miami Heat to beat those teams. That's what I'm paying for. If they ever
Jimmy's
play.
out tonight, I think, with a sinus issue. So I think he may. I'm hoping he's returning for the next game, but he didn't play tonight against the Suns
Yeah, they
due
got
to
killed.
a sinus issue. He's from day to day right now. But Alex Caruso.
It's on the way back.
I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name. He's
No,
actually
you're right.
cleared to come back to the Bulls, um, which is a different team than the Heat. But you have to excuse me. Sometimes there's so many players.
I
I
already know.
thought football had a ton of players. Nothing on basketball. Absolutely doesn't touch it. Doesn't even scratch the surface. I'm just like, how are this many players in basketball? Like, just mind
Yeah.
blowing. But yeah, just definitely a lot going on that sector. But I am very happy like that the Titans were able to get this done. Um, able to sign Woodside. I I have a theory about that real quick. I feel like they signed Woodside to a year to keep him from potentially hitting the free agent market and going to the Indy because I feel like Indy would have tried to pick him up if he was available.
Hmm.
They want that inside scoop.
Yep. It's always, and we'll see what they do. And I guess we'll go
Hmm.
and transition to what they did today.
Hmm.
I knew they've been trying to get rid of Carson Wentz. And here go thing I do respect about the Titans. And I said this, Tannehill had, he had, we almost all of us out on him, including myself. And my thinking was, it was like this in this order. It was like, okay, there's only two upgrades. That's Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. I just want to hear that we attempted, which by reports, it sounded like with Aaron Rodgers, we put
it in something for him, but there was no way we were going to be paid what Green Bay paid that man.
Exactly. Then, and that's nothing. Last month, and my last episode's titled "Don't Be Bored." It was after that whole J-Rob, we're rolling with Tannehill when the rumors of Aaron Rodgers getting land near Nashville and everything, and Franklin. And my whole thing about that was like, okay, Aaron Rodgers has to first decide he's leaving Green Bay, which he didn't. Ryan Tannehill's still on the contract. So as long as he's under contract, you gotta act like, whether you think you can move forward or not, you gotta, hey, we're moving forward with him, because we don't know if Aaron Rodgers is even going to decide to leave. And if you do decide to leave, he got to decide to come to Tennessee. Then if that happens, what do we got to give to trade for him?
Exactly. And how do you get out of his contract? I mean, obviously J-Rob has done some magician type things, but to unload a contract like that, I mean, heck, it's crazy enough the Colts just swindled the Commanders like that. I was a little disgusted that the Commanders paid the full $35 million for Carson and his $5 million bonus that he's set to get in like this week. He's set to get that bonus, and they paid that out to that man. Just uprooted. I said, I really wanted to be in the room when Chris Ballard said, I want you guys to pay everything and take Carson Wentz. And they just got, what, like a second? I mean, and they can't draft a quarterback. They don't have a first round pick. So definitely Carson Wentz is going to be, he left a lot of sores with Indy in a bad spot. But I'm not going to lie. It's really nice to see another team go through a quarterback carousel. We went through it multiple years. It's time for somebody else to deal with that headache. And I'm glad it's not us right now. And that's why I was like, when people were so down on Tannehill, I'm like, I get it. I understand. Let people have their time. I was, I heard everybody's comments. But how I came across was that Ryan Tannehill is probably way harder on himself than we're ever going to be. Exactly. He is taking this loss harder than anyone is ever going to take this loss. Like, we as fans feel it, but this man experienced it. He has that on his shoulders. And for me, I just feel like it's going to be a ball out year for this man. Like, he's coming to prove a point. He's coming to shut, people up. And where we're in a division where we don't know who the Colts quarterback is. We don't know if the Texans are probably going to still run with Mills, which Mills wasn't that bad, but they got rid of his offensive coordinator, who is, highlighting for the Titans now, which is absolutely hilarious.
Let's go.
The fact that they lost.
Let's go.
What?
Nate.
What? What happened? I know, but it's time for bed. Take a deep breath. All right, and go ahead to bed. It's okay. That was Nate. There he goes. Crazy hair and all. But yeah, it was just like, this division is, I mean, Jacksonville's just Jacksonville at this point. Like, they're just happy to be here. So it's just like, what can you do? I hope for the best. Yeah, I mean, my thing is just like, he's not out. He doesn't. Their motto. He doesn't have to prove anybody anything. Just, he has to prove himself right. He doesn't have to prove anybody else, and he doesn't owe anybody anything. And just personally, like, he's taking this, like I said, probably the hardest that anybody else would. And if I could tell him anything, is just like, at the end of the day, we may have our qualms, but people are still going to be behind him because he's our quarterback. Like, there's really no alleyway. You don't have an alleyway. There's no, every end is a dead end. I'm like, just sit. You can accept it. You don't have to accept it. And we're here for you if you, whichever way you feel. But you just, it's one of those things where we have continuity. We have a guy that's been in this system for a couple of years. We still have plenty of time, with this core and this group. And like I said, I think I was more harsh on Todd Downing than I was on Tannehill, because I'm like, some of the plays, some of the play calls in that game was just crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely I'm hoping Ryan Tannehill is hard on himself, because he has to be. I'm a Ryan Tannehill stan. I'm not afraid to say that, but I'm more of a realist, where it's just like, okay, I understand he messed up and I can say he had a bad game, but I'm still gonna support him, because
Yep.
that's just who I am. I'm gonna support Ryan Tannehill. I hope he has another good season, because I think a lot of people overlook the fact that in order to get to the playoffs, we have to have a good regular season. People are like, "Oh, he's this, and this," but you can't say that he's bad in the regular season.
God, no.
He literally took a team that was using 93 players and managed to get us to
One
a
seed.
1 seed. Like, nobody even expected us to get to the playoffs, let alone a 1 seed. For a while there, even being ahead of the Colts, we were still behind the Colts,
Yep.
because that's how it is. But this man rallied, and granted, you have to have all the pieces. Defense helped more on some games than he helped, back and forth, but we have to have a great regular season to put us in the position for a playoff. And Ryan Tannehill has been that guy since he's been here, having the most game-winning drives. You can trust him 9 times out of 10 in a 2-minute, and I love him in 2-minute drills. Like, give me the last 2 minutes of the first half.
Yep.
And then, get us down there and in field goal range, at least try that. But I believe that as long as he can handle his regular season, when it comes to the postseason, it is what it is. If he does good, he does good. If he does bad, then obviously I think at that point they'll be able to find a way out of his contract after.
Exactly.
Because you literally have to find a way out of his contract. There was no way this year that you could find out he's going to get what he's owed. This will be his make it or break it year, and then I think they'll be able to get, because I think it's technically the third year of his contract, so they'll be able to get out. There's a clause in there for them to get out. J-Rob's not doing contracts without a way to get out. So, and then to come from a point where the Dolphins paid us to take Ryan Tannehill. Like, they didn't even want him. And granted, they had their time. They realized they can't keep funneling into him, and he needed a scheme. He works here in the scheme, but like I said, I just hope he proves himself right and he's not in his own head, because a game like that could put you in your own head, but that's what the offseason's for. That's why I feel like we have the locker room to support him, and they've come out and they've supported Ryan Tannehill. They might be frustrated because of the loss, but I think they're more hungry than ever to show not only the world but themselves that they're ready for a Super Bowl. Like, I've never seen a team more ready for the Super Bowl than last season. Like, that was we had a Super Bowl caliber defense. Like, I feel like they could have beaten anybody. So it was a hard loss, and it was a hard loss. It was definitely difficult. Everybody handles it in different ways, but like our off-season news, like they signed Tier Tart back. I love that re-signing, because he was a great depth piece when we needed players to rest. He was great coming in. And then Nick Westbrook-Akina, poor guy, that last pass he dropped. But I think some people are overlooking the fact that this is Nick Westbrook-Akina's first full year as a receiver. The last year he spent time on special teams. He really didn't get. And he's still a rookie. Like, he's only a couple years removed in the system. And this was his first full year as a wide receiver, playing the entire time due to injuries, but he stepped up. Granted, that last pass was that sucks, but I'm happy they brought him back, because I think they see something in him, and to be able to keep developing him instead of cutting and doing a chain of new wide receivers is, granted they may get some from the draft. And I don't know what's going to happen with Marcus Johnson. I don't know what's going to happen with Racing McMath. I was actually loving Marcus Johnson there towards the end before he got hurt again.
He got hurt.
I wish he would stay healthy, because I feel like he would be such a pivotal piece to the depth chart
He would have
before he got hurt. So we'll see what happens.
Yep, for sure. My guy, Truth. What are good people? What they do, my guy. But same with you. Well, I've, like I said, me, Truth, I was on his show the day after the game. So So fun fact, after that game, I was on 5, including my show. I was like on 5 different podcasts. I had to literally
Woo,
relive
you had a
this.
busy day.
I was on his show that Sunday. I did my show that Monday. I was on Ryan's show that Thursday. I had my Let's Be Real show that Saturday. And we was doing all our teams. We were doing like it's 6 of us on the podcast. And then we got Eagles fan, Steelers fan, Cowboys fan, Panthers fan. So each of us had to do like an in-season review of our team. So it was just like a torture that week. But it helped me kind of get over it and like,
I
get
feel
through
like
it.
talking about it gets you
Yeah.
through it. I feel like if you don't talk, obviously, some handle it by shutting down and not wanting to say, and that's fine. Take a
Yep.
break, but eventually, you're gonna have to talk about it. It's not going away. The situation didn't change, so it's kind of one of those things where, handle it as you may. But I'm glad you were able to kind of find a way for you to handle it and to be able to talk about it, and kind of get all those feelings out.
Right. And my whole thing was, it's when we get tough to get out of it. Let's see if they attempt. It seemed like they did attempt, but Aaron Rodgers stayed. Also with Russell Wilson, we saw the trade package. There's no way we was mentioning it. And I like how Russell Wilson does everything quietly. Like it was very
Very,
like,
very. Russell's always been like a quiet person until the moment it hits. So
mhm,
I didn't know. I just the Broncos gave up Noah Fant and Shelby Harris, and I'm just like, why? Like I get it for Russ. They're all in. This is for
mhm,
them saying we are committed to this quarterback, but Noah Fant was a hard, like some of my friends who are they're like that was a hard pill to swallow for them because they liked
yeah,
Noah Fant was a fan favorite and he was a really good tight end. But at the same time, the Seahawks needed a tight end. They
mhm,
really didn't have anybody to work with, so they needed that tight end piece, and they got a good one in Noah. Like he's a darn good tight end, and I think in a system where he's number one and there's no disputing, he's going to be that number one. But you just have to
mhm.
wonder. And then they let Drew Lock go, and I'm like, woo, you have a competition between Drew Lock and Geno Smith. Like, I feel for you, Seahawks fans. That's rough.
Yeah,
That's rough.
that's rough for
That's
right now. We'll see what they do. They got the, I guess, number 9 pick. They're trying to make a run to Deshaun Watson, and that's if he can
mhm.
play. So we'll see what goes on with that. As long as he get out of my division, I love Deshaun Watson.
I'm
Please get him out
telling
of
you,
my
get out the
division.
AFC, out of the AFC,
Get him out. Get
because
him
I
out.
mean, it seems as it may now that you have Russell Wilson, Patty Mahomes,
Josh Allen,
Josh Allen,
Justin Herbert, yeah,
Herbert.
Lamar
Um,
Jackson. It just goes on and on and on.
it
It's just
goes
like,
on. This AFC is so stacked. My first comment though, when Russell was traded, was can the Titans position to go to the NFC because I don't want to I don't want to do this. There's so much stacked talent, but I'm also really excited because I think we go through that
the
AFC
FC West.
division,
Yep,
AFC West this year,
we do.
and it's going to be kind of interesting to see. And I think most of the games are on the road, so it's going to be kind of crazy to see how that stacks up against the defense, what that's going to be like. But my gosh, the just a vaunted AFC West, just a vaunted. But I mean, as a fan, who wouldn't want to see Russell Wilson and Patty Mahomes go at it twice a
Twice a
year?
year.
I
Yep.
I would. That's going to be a bomb game. They
Hmm.
might be running for their lives because of those offensive lines, but that's oh man, they're going to have to fix some O lines because I don't think the Broncos you'll see me tweet this out multiple times.
They're
Please
not good.
draft an O line. An
Yeah.
O line is so important. And then there was teams last year, the Steelers, the
The bank,
Chiefs,
the Bengals.
the Bengals, that didn't draft any O line, or if they did, it was far and few between. Like they did nothing to build their O line over the offseason, and people got killed. I'm like, that's going to happen this year. There's going to be teams that are automatically going to overlook that O line, and it's going to be some of the
Hmm.
favorites, and it's going to rear its ugly head. Like Carson Wentz going to Washington, that that field is going to annihilate
Hmm.
him, and that's just saying it nicely because that offensive line was not protecting Tyler Heineke. Taylor
Hmm.
Heineke, it's not gonna be protective against Carson Wentz, and he's already banged up as it is.
Hmm.
Have a
Good luck.
long year,
Good luck to him.
not a
And
problem.
right.
I was kind of sad. I was like, man, they only gave one year to Carson. That's it.
Uh-huh.
They paid all that money. They paid him 35 million or a portion of that just to rent him for 1 year, and for what? for our humor, for our comedy. I'm like, why, Chris? Why would you give this man up? Carson was perfect, but there was so many problems. Apparently, there's just so
Yeah.
much. But luckily, we don't have that issue with culture, so we don't have to worry about that.
And that's one thing I can say. Like, I'm glad Tannehill. I saw Chris put it. He said, "I'm still not well. Tannehill." He got me mad, but he has to prove me wrong. Same thing with me. All of us just got to prove us wrong. But difference between Carson Wentz, like you got to upgrade. And I'm like, if you can't upgrade, then you got to stick with him. The Colts apparently, well, for it was more than just his play. Like, obvious leadership issues. They had to get rid of him.
And they uploaded. I mean, like I said, they managed to find a sucker because Washington just I still will not understand the life of me how they unloaded all of their all of that money. He doesn't have to pay any of it. Chris Ballard got out scot-free. Basically just a rental piece. But now you're thinking who's going to be in their place? Like a lot of people are talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm like, replacing Garoppolo with Carson is like sticking a Band-Aid on a Band-Aid.
Yeah,
You're not really doing much there. You're not really doing much. I mean, like I kind of worry about Mitchell Trubisky a little bit because the Colts do have somewhat of an offensive line. But apparently Eric Fisher's not going to be back. But he was kind of banged up in and out last year anyways. But they're not bringing Eric back. So they're kind of in a weird purgatory right now. So it's interesting to watch. As a Titans fan, it's fun to watch. But I just like, who are they going to pick? I mean, there's hardly nobody in the draft. And where they're positioned at, they can't really draft one. And the ones on the field, like Jameis Winston, like I'm like, who are they upgrading to? That's the biggest thing. Who's the upgrade from Carson Wentz?
Marcus Mariota. I've seen that a lot today.
I'm not gonna lie, like I am a couple years removed from being I'm still a Marcus Stan. I wish nothing but the best for him. But how everybody feels about Tannehill, it would kind of hurt me. Like not many things bother me when it comes to certain teams. That would bother me a little bit because he's such a scramble in the pocket, and we are not that great against scrambling QBs. That's one of our Achilles. Like they wrangled Tua this year, which was incredible. But like Kyler Murray
went off.
Kyler Murray had a field day. He was running for 35 minutes and didn't care. So it's just kind of like, it'll be a tough pill just personally because I love Marcus that much. It'll be a tough pill for me to swallow, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I feel like he needs a home. He needs a starting job. Marcus is, I think he was 28 now. And it's crazy to think he's aged that long in the NFL. So now I heard Marcus's name a lot because they were kind of looking at him last year, but
they were,
and decided not to draft a back. Like when you sign Carson, why would you not draft a backup to go to be there in case Carson got hurt?
Well, they low-key did. Sam Elliott, he got hurt. Sam Elliott
got hurt. He got hurt.
But I don't know if he was a good backup either. So it was like late around. So
yeah, I definitely have heard Marcus because they've been talking about how much some of the people in the organization love Marcus. It would be definitely interesting to see. It would definitely be interesting to see.
For sure.
I feel like part of Titans Twitter is going to burn down in a blaze of glory because it would hurt some people to the core to see Marcus in a Colts uniform. I'm kind of half and half. Yes, it's going to hurt me, but I understand it's a business. It's a game. At the end of the day, we have to play him if we have to play him. Jack Dole's not there to be a thorn in our sides anymore since he retired. So, Hilton is aged out pretty much. I feel like I don't know if he's going to come back one more year or not because T.Y. he was hurt part of majority of the year. Like after the Titans game, I don't think he came back. So definitely interesting to see. Definitely.
Yeah. Let's get to some comments. Titan upload presentation list. Fantastic, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate you for tuning in. They also had a question. How confident are you we keep our O-line? Seems some are too expensive to keep. It seemed like they want to try to keep them all together. I believe they do need to resign Ben Jones at all costs. I think Siraj Sappho is the cut. because you need a left tackle, and Taylor Warren is coming off the torn ACL, so I can see them restructuring his deal. I
Mm.
I believe Roger Saffold will be cut, but I can see a scenario where they try their best to try and keep it intact and just replace the right tackle.
I agree with you. I feel like Roger Saffold because I don't. Out of all the people, like you said, please sign Ben Jones to a retirement contract. Like, do not let that man
Right.
go anywhere because he is the best center that we have had. I mean, you can't, like you said, the best ability is availability because he's been there through thick and thin. He knows this offense, but I feel like Lawan is going to. I feel like they're going to be able to reconstruct Lawan's contract. I don't think I think it's just gonna be a numbers game. I honestly feel like Lawan's gonna take a team friendly deal, and I'm actually not gonna be surprised if Saffold takes a team friendly deal to come back and potentially get a Super Bowl. I think like you said, the culture environment that we built, a lot of players here wanted like. Jayon Brown stayed. Granted, he didn't do much last year, but because he was, got hurt and all that good stuff. But he took a team friendly deal when I know he could have went out and got signed to another team for maybe a multi-year. Somebody would invest in him, but he stayed here because he loves the town. He loves the culture. He loves the people, and I think we're going to see that a lot more often through the off season. Like you see these people now, like guys on our team who are willing just to sign 1-year contracts. 1-year deals. They're like, hey, I'll stay here for 1 year if it means we were so close. I just feel like we were so close that most of these players are like, they want that ring more than they care about what that contract cost.
Exactly. So yeah, that's what I can very well see any of those scenarios. And another thing about Saffold, left guard is easier to replace than center and left tackle. It just is.
You could draft it. You could bring it. It's not I think some in our depth. But definitely, he's probably that one you get out of everybody. He's on that chopping block because I feel like if he doesn't get what he wants, part of me feels like he may either retire. I think he's like at the point retiring or like trying to maybe like retire, go to the Rams, maybe sign a 1-day deal and retire with the Rams, something like that. But I feel like if he doesn't get signed this year, he's probably looking towards retirement. If he doesn't, like, granted, I think it's like his 15th season now, and he still looks like he could jack somebody up. So I mean, who knows? Who knows? But I hope they can work out a deal where he feels comfortable and we feel comfortable because continuity in that front offensive line. But we knew after last year it was going to start getting expensive because of how much we paid these guys 2 years ago. And now it's kind of coming to a head. Our O-line is getting older. We need to start maybe getting younger. Over these next 2 years, it's definitely going to break the hearts of some who are used to those fan favorites because but that's a business. You have to get younger. Our O-line literally I think has maybe one more year before next year they start really making some changes. Still sad about Dennis Kelly. That's still gonna always be my one tiff from anything. Like that man could play every position on the offensive line, I think except for center. So maybe try to find a piece that is versatile, but they're known for that, so I'm not really worried. But yeah, Saffold definitely is up there on that chopping block if they don't find a deal that works for both of them.
Yep. I think it really comes down to because I know they were working Dylan Radunz in at guard a lot last year, but then he played tackle and played really good. So it kind of depends on, do they see him as a starting left tackle or a starting left guard or a starting right tackle? When they make that decision, that's when they make
that's when they're going to figure out where they go. Man, him against San Francisco was insane. I was so proud of him. It's like a proud mama watching her baby making like their rookie debut. Like it was so crazy to me that Bosa got so annoyed. He moved over to Quessenberry to attack him because he couldn't get any action on that side. It was so much fun to watch. Right. And that puts it in your head, like what's going to happen when they do possibly reconstruct Taylor. Is next year possibly his last year, depending on the development of the left tackle or whatever position that he may play in. It's going to be very interesting to see over the next 2 years.
But real quick, I did have a Twitter poll earlier about the QB carousel after everything happened yesterday. It's official. Ryan Tannehill will be our starting quarterback next year. So I asked for like some options, what we should do going forward. Either draft a QB this year, which I said about a month ago, trade for a young backup. Aaron Rodgers just signed. Jordan Love could be available. Gardner Minshew, signed a veteran backup. We just resigned Logan Woodside, but Mitchell Trubisky out there. Doubt they go back and bring Marcus Mariota back, but there are some different options. And I did other comments, and most of those guys in the comments said draft, but they was like drafting like the third round. I think Bailey
Mhm.
Zapp is a name that's coming up right now. Carson Strong is somebody's people. But what do you think we should do? You think we just go over it, Logan Woodside again, or should we actually try and get a younger QB to try and get ready for the future a little bit?
Um, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if I would touch a QB that's in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on the round. Like if you can find a late, like you said, third, fourth. We're really good after the second. Between the second and fourth round. That's our
Mm-hmm.
bread and butter. So whatever they do right there, I'm cool. But personally, to me, I think you just I honestly think you develop Logan. Logan has been in this system for what now? 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that they've kept him around this long because they see something. They see, he knows this offense in and out. Granted, he hasn't had much playing time, and I think that kind of makes some people hesitant. But you can't help that. We haven't had to, knock on wood, we haven't had a reason to really use Logan this year or this past season because Ryan was able to play every game, which was definitely different. We're not used to having a quarterback that's played, 16 games, all the way through 16, 17, 18 games, all the way through. It's usually something happens or,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, Marcus being injured back to back, the QB carousel. So
Blaine Gabbert.
definitely,
I'll never forget that.
so it's definitely interesting. I really don't want to touch Jordan Love. Let him stay in Green Bay. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
seen anything that's worth trading him for or paying for him.
Nope.
Um, like you said, I think the Eagles are going to stick with Mitchell Trubisky because of the fact of how honestly, I don't know why the Jaguar. I'm happy they let him go, but I don't know why the
Oh,
Jaguars
Gardner
let
Minshew.
go of Mitchell Trubisky.
Minshew.
Gardner Minshew. Like I
Yeah.
don't know why they let him go. Gardner Minshew's a good quarterback.
He's fun to watch.
He's a great quarterback, and in
Yeah.
that half that they brought him in after they sat out old homeboy. This was
Jalen
the year.
Hurts.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
you
was
talking about
incredible to watch.
yeah.
During the Jags game not
Yeah.
this past season, but the season before.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I mean, I wouldn't be upset about Gardner, but to me, and in what it seems like they're going to be doing, they're going to be developing Logan Woodside, and I'm not mad at it. Like, give him a chance to prove why we still have him, which is great for the preseason because we get to see Logan for at least 4 games to kind of figure out, hey, what are we going to do? Just keep on. I mean, obviously they're keeping him around for a reason. I don't see any other reason why they're not. I mean, next year though, it's going to get
Yeah.
real
It's time.
interesting.
It's time to go.
I wouldn't. It is next year like that, and that's also why I feel like they're keeping Logan, because they need that backup in case something happens to Tannehill, who knows the system. Like that
Yeah.
if God forbid something happened to Tannehill, Logan can go in, and it's not an unfamiliar territory. Granted, he hasn't
Mm-hmm.
played in many professional games, but we haven't need him to, and that's fine. But he can step up because he knows the system. But next year, this year, I don't really like any quarterbacks. I don't think I would waste. I'd mainly focus on offensive line,
Yep.
tight end, because you're gonna need one. You're going to have to. And this is a tight
Gonna
end
need three.
base. Uh, this is a tight end based. It seems like draft between tight ends and wide receivers. There's
Yeah.
an abundance
Definitely
this
need to get
year.
one of them.
So if you're going to you're going to have to, because a tight end, I feel like unless you get like the rare Kyle Pitts or something like that, um, tight ends take a year or
It's
two to
time.
develop, and
Yep.
that's minimum.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely focus on your offensive line and your wide receivers, your tight ends. I'm not going to be mad if they draft a kicker. I'm throwing that in there.
Yep. Somebody
Would
said
not
that
be surprised.
earlier.
I would not be surprised if they draft a kicker. There's some amazing kickers coming out of college this year, and I really think we need to draft a kicker.
Yeah.
I love Randy. He's gotten so consistent. And then like when that video came out, like he has a home here. It was nice because you saw them embrace Randy, and I embrace Randy because he hasn't made a lot of mistakes. He's made a few, but just compared to Koskowski and everybody else we've had, still sad about Ryan Suckup, but that's personal. But I think draft. I'm not going to be upset if they draft a kicker. I feel like like I said, the ones coming out of college, great this year, really good kickers, and those are going to go under the radar. So, my bold take for the draft is that the Titans are going to draft a kicker. They're just going to pull something funky out in like the 5th round or 4th round and draft a kicker, something like that, because it happens.
I like that one. Yeah. You going to the next segment with the bold take. Mine would be that they are going to either trade back from their 1st round pick, or they're gonna find a way to get a 2nd round pick. Some form of fashion. They're gonna find a way to get a 2nd round pick. Whether it's trade back and get 2 seconds or a 2nd and an extra 3rd, or they're gonna just find a way to get package something else to get a 2nd round pick. And I believe they would draft a QB that they think that they like. And I think that QB will probably be Desmond Ridder. And I won't agree. I ain't gonna say I won't agree. So I'm in Memphis Tigers. Memphis, we play against Cincinnati. And I seen Desmond, he's gotten better, but I think he's literally Ryan Tannehill 2.0. And I would want a quarterback who has potential to be better.
My bold take is that I feel like they're going to trade back. And then either, like you said, I agree with the 2 late 2nd round picks. But I feel that they're going to go tight end. I think they're going to go tight end first. If they see one that they like and that's on the board, I feel like they may even trade up for a tight end, to be honest, because that's something that we really lack depth of or at all. You have Ferkser, and I'm really excited. I'm hoping Michael Pruitt comes back and he wants to ball out because I love Michael Pruitt. I love what he's about. I love his grit, his tenacity. That Seahawks game where he just got in players' faces and was just like, get out of my face, and just was bothering them, was just so much fun to watch. So, I'm hoping Michael can come back. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like Ferkser is maybe he's more suited for tight end 2 or none at all. Like I feel like somebody has to take tight end 1, and then you have him as tight end 2, a relief. But I feel like they're gonna draft a tight end first, or their normal route, they'll trade back and draft an offensive lineman, just because I feel like that's just their calling card. But I wouldn't be surprised if they take a tight end first, or they trade up for a tight end. I don't think they're going to trade up far. I think what they'll do is they'll trade for a little bit earlier and then pick up another one in the 3rd or the 4th round because of the trade up, depending on what they give. So it'll be interesting. It'll be how many draft picks do they have this year? Is it 7? I don't think it's come out yet, has it?
No, because they still waiting on the compensatory picks, if I ain't mistaken.
They're still waiting on the compensatory
if I'm not
picks.
mistaken.
That's what I was thinking.
Someone watching, let us know. But I think everybody's falling in love with those wide receivers, but I don't think they're falling. When I first saw Chris Olave falling, I was like, ain't no way he'd stay. Ain't no way he's staying on the board in no 26. After they're 40, there's definitely no way he's falling in 26. So I don't think a lot of receivers are going to fall. But if they do, I wouldn't mind snatching one of them. But as a Memphis fan, 3rd round, if Calvin Austin, see,
I've heard of Calvin. Get him.
He's good. Trust me, I know. He's 5'7", and he kind of knocks out two birds in one stone. He's punt returner, and he
kind of reminds me of a speedier, younger Khalif Raymond, but with better hands. We do need that speedy slot receiver. I think that's a pivotal piece that we're missing in our, after Adam Humphries got hurt. Granted, he's having a great time in Washington at the moment. So, but we definitely are missing that smaller, speedier wide receiver that can kind of weave in now. And I would love, he wants to be here. Like, it's crazy hearing some of the conferences, like at the combine, some of the interviews, when you hear people like, oh, I grew up watching Taylor Lewan, or I grew up watching Julio Jones, or, AJ. And I'm like, makes you feel old because you're
Oh,
just
yep.
like
I was
I
exactly that.
remember when they were drafted. I remember the moment Taylor was drafted, and they're like, oh, I just I remember watching. I would love to be da, 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 da. And I'm like, this is so weird. It's kind of like watching how old you've gotten with the Titans and seeing like that. We're part of that group that's going to be seeing that turnaround, and I feel like a year to 2 years time, it's not going to look the same anymore. But definitely draft wide receivers. I love that option. We definitely need a speedy slot receiver, especially like for those third down packages where we need somebody that can get those with good hands. Because I feel like we have too many, I'm not gonna say too many big receivers. Like, granted, AJ Brown is crazy fast and it's hard to bring him down after the catch. Julio's the same way, but we definitely need, even Nick Westbrook-Ikhine is like what, I think he's like what,
Yeah,
six
he
three.
tall.
He's up
Hmm.
there. And so I'm like, we need somebody that's smaller and faster. Punt returner
Hmm.
definitely could
Yep.
double, which is definitely needed. Like, I don't think Darrington Evans is even gonna sniff the field next season. I'm
If he's
kind of
even
hoping they
back.
sign Foreman. I'm kind of hoping they
Yeah.
can get Foreman back, even on a friendly, like 1 year
1 year.
deal.
Uh-huh.
Um, because a backfield with Foreman and Henry would just be immaculate to watch.
Al Pierce. He said, hero. I've been watching that daddy say. Oh man. On that note.
He did. He did.
Yeah.
I just realized, like, he's like, I watch a lot of these kids' fathers,
Yeah.
so there's
Yeah.
that.
Oh man, but that ends the show. Stephanie, it was great. That was great insight. Great having you on. Can you tell the
Thank
people where they
you.
can?
I appreciate that.
No problem. Can you tell the people where they can follow you at again?
Yeah, you can follow me at Stephanie P96. That's at STEPHANI P96, or our Ladies of Titans Twitter page, which is at Ladies of TT, is the name, or just search up hashtag lot. I'm pretty sure you'll find us from the hashtag.
Mhm. For sure, for sure. Like I said, please follow her and follow Lazy Titans Twitter. Those ladies they do great work. Remember to follow me, LBR Titan Up.
Yes, most definitely give him a follow.
And the one Scorpio Shark. Listen to the show on YouTube or audio if you don't want to watch video. I got audio on Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, any podcast platform you want to listen to. But once again, thank you again, Stephanie. It was great.
Thank you. Hope you guys have a great night and tighten up.
All right, for sure. Tighten up. See you next time.